talk from Earl of Norris. This has only been planned about 4 times. So the knowledge and the skill set built up has just been increasing and increasing and increasing. Here we have His Royal Highness Earl of Norris. What did you say, Mark? The godfather of the Backscratchers.
Yay!
And that is?
Thank you kindly. The original member. Great introduction. What you'll see here, what we're going through there today, will be what is happening in Toowoomba and the near surrounding suburbs close by. It's been a pretty hard time actually, and as you'll see, we'll go through a couple of things there. You'll see that you've got, the suburb and the area on the left, and then of course the number of sales, the median price, and then the last 12 months capital, or the gain the last 12 months, then 5 years and 10 years. You'll note, if you look down, I've put it here on this, and if you look down to Mount Lofty, Mount Lofty's taken the cake for that a period of time, with in a 12-month growth rate they're having a 10.8% gain, and then it topped off the 5-year one to the 6.7, and the 10-year one of the 5.8. The one I think that can be disregarded, I think the figures I use are from the API, the Australian Property Investor. I always use that one. It covers the whole of Australia. It's a very interesting magazine to get if you want to be involved in real estate and see what's going on around the nation. The one I do think that there probably has been a mistake made there is the one at Canberra. I'd say that possibly might be meant to be 6.5%, because they certainly wouldn't have gone up 16%, the one at the top. That's a massive increase for just out there. That wouldn't have been the case. Clifton, on the other hand, as you'll see there, is very slow moving at the stage, and if you look at the average time days for selling there, it's 385 days, like it's taking over a year for sort of selling out there. So that quite often happens as you get a little bit further out from the city, and actually it gets a little bit slower for the sales to proceed. The highest median price, of course, is Middle Ridge, over there with the 1 acre blocks and that type of thing, like some of them are selling up around 400,000 and that type of thing. So it naturally has got the highest median price because of the price of the land we're building on there. One of the cheaper areas that you will get that are close by to Toowoomba is like Lithcott, which you'll see there with the median price about 360,000. It's about the same median as what Toowoomba is, but of course the thing is there, you're down there, you're mostly on 1 acre blocks of that. So for a close acreage thing, Lithcott is very good that way. The rest of the stats are, as you can see, there's not too often you'll find where the period of time for doubling, and if you turn over to the next page, to the second page, you'll see the capital gains there as they happen over a period from the cycle. The cycle, what I call the cycle, goes from where it's at the lowest edge of the gain up to where it peaks and then bottoms out. And that usually runs over about a 9-year, 10-year period of where it'll go through its height and then levels off and goes down to the bottom before it starts off again. But you'll see each cycle, which has been underlined there for you, each cycle there has about a 3-year of very strong gain. As you'll see if you go right back to our first sort of start in the game down in the early 70s. In that period there was a 74 or 23% gain, then a 13.5, then a 14.8, and then by 78 it zeroed out. But as you can see in that cycle that was down there before the last period of the cycle there was 65%. next cycle had an 82% gain, and again you'll notice the three sort of strong years there being from 1980 to 1982, with a 9.6, 22.9, and then a 21.6, and then it zeroed off. These are the little cycles that can catch people out, and it's interesting, and this is where if you're watching your API, if you want to wheel and deal in real estate a little bit, this is where you've got to be very careful buying. We see particular cases such as school teachers, police force, army personnel, these type of people who are on transferable type of jobs sometimes get caught out in it where they might be transferred from Townsville down to here, and it can be such the case that they'll sell the house up in Townsville and it'll be at the bottom of the cycle, and they don't do real well out of it because it's a real slow period, and then they'll come down to here, and of course we can just be at the booming part of the cycle because each town and that type of thing don't run at the same time. The cycles run very differently, and they can get caught out where they can do not well with the one they're selling in Townsville, then come to here and buy at the boom, then when they've got to move from here, it'll be down in the bottom of the cycle. So, and you get the other end, of course, where people say, gee, we're lucky we sold in Darwin, she's right at the boom, and they come down to here and it's at the bottom. So, it's how it can go. The next cycle you'll see there in the 87 to 95, that was not as good as the one before, but went through with a 69% gain. But there was your four strong years there in the 89 to 92 with that cycle, 15.9, 17.8, 10.5, 10.5. And then went to the bottom and then went back. You can see the two cycles, that one and the other one that ended in 86. They got 10.3 and 6% at the bottom of the cycle. So that's where you can really get caught out with, as I say, like transferable people buying in, and then right at the end of that cycle, it drops another 10%. So by the time they get the loss of what they bought the property for, plus the conveyancing fees, the solicitors, which they get paid double what they should. But when you get that, and they've got to pay out the agent's commission and stamp duty buying in, and then they add the loss. Quite often people do, it's just not $10,000 they'll do, but when you work out the cost of them buying in the stamp duty and the solicitor fees and then the agent's fees and the advertising, that type of thing, it can be quite hard. The next cycle, which was probably the biggest one that went through, created by the 2004, which was the biggest year I've ever seen. That one with a 36% gain, that was just quite amazing that year. It was incredible. You'd sell a place for 300,000 here and go across to the neighbour down the road sort of thing, and you'd say to them, gee, look, I think you better put 310, 315 on it. And, they just sort of couldn't believe it. They said, gee, maybe they just sold it 300. But when you get a thing they're gaining 36% like that, 3% a month, and you get a $400,000 home and it's gaining $12,000 a month. It was quite an amazing year, that one where it just took off, But the year before, as you'll see on the left-hand side, down the bottom is your number of home sales. That was the greatest year, that 2003, but there was 3,878 home sales in the 18 suburbs and that of Toowoomba. It was a massive year. These, an interesting part then you'll see from that cycle through till now, where you look back up to your 86 and your 95, where that went back 10% and went back 6.3%. After the cycle even ended there in 2004, you'll see that the growth gain on the column there was, they still got, not huge, but it still continued on, even though they had the 36. In 2005, like a 5% gain, then 4, and 5, and 2, and it's still gone on. And I believe the reason that has been the case has been because of the extreme low interest rates that we are at the moment. And with Toowoomba, median price only being like at the moment just around very affordable. And so, I mean, you get a school teacher here, as an example, or a police force person's been in the game 5 years, they come buy a place here for 360, but some poor devil has just been transferred and he's gone through to Sydney, he's got another $1 million, like a lot of cases they can't even afford to buy. So that has been, I think, the big plus of why we have gone on that still gaining, even though they're only a small percentage of gain. You will note the minus 1.8 in the year 2011. That's the result of the global financial crisis. It only hit us just a minor bit. We hardly knew it would happen, but there was that little bit of an ease there. And then we come into the cycle now, which you can see there if you look over from the year at 2012, say, and out to the left, you'll note that there were 1,708 home sales there. Now, in 2013, it went up actually from 2011 from 1,400 sales, and 2012 up to 1,700 sales, and 2013, nearly 2,353. Now, the turnaround came in December 2014. If you look down to the bottom figures underneath there, the stock on the market. In your boom cycle when things are running, your number of sales go up, but the listings on the market decline. And we always can pick when the cycle is slowing, because once the turnaround comes, the opposite happens then. And the number of sales drop, and of course the listings on the market start building up. And if you look at December 14 on the stock on the market, that was the first month of this cycle slowdown. There was 0.6% more homes on the market. And then as you can see after that, where I just did different months there for you, January 1.6, then February 7.1, then 34% more, and January 2016, there's 16% more. So you can see from January 15 to January 16, it's gone from 1.6% more stock on the market up to 16 at the moment. So that's your cycle telling you that we've got the slowdown is happening, And if you look back up to your homes on the market, there you'll see that where you had 1416 sales, 1708, peaked there at 2013 with 2300, and of course then 2014 down to 2100, and now 2015 there's 1887. So in the last 2 years, there's been a 20% drop in the volume of home sales. Now, I don't care what business you've got, whether it be, real estate or whether it be a news agency or whatever, but you say to people, hey, you've got a 20% drop, and, for most people, it's a big drop in a business because. And that is the hard part of this industry, is working through those cycles, because quite often you'll find at the same time that has happened, and you will know who the agencies are, at the same time we've had that 20% drop, we've had 2 new agencies hit town. And so, they're the things that really make the industry very hard for operating in and keeping your figures at a plus sort of thing when that is happening. So that gives you a fair bit of informative information there that I'm sure I hope you will be able to read and get something out of. Is there any questions there for someone?
Just to refresh that, you may have said how you determine the period gain. I can see it's a sum of percentages, but how did you determine, for instance, a period in 78, the wheel was starting at 79, and say any of these 6 starting at 87? How did you determine the breakpoints?
The breakpoint we're at, that
the line that you draw on the period gain.
Yeah.
How did you determine that period in 78 starting at 79 and then for the rest of them as well? Because it's not like it's every 10 years.
No, it's when you get to the growth rate over on the growth side there, as you'll see, that's where you see the slope.
So the growth goes backwards.
Yeah. Yes, that's where we always look for the growth rate. As you can see, if you're looking down that growth line, you'll see where there in 78 it's 0, then in 1986 back to 10 points minus.
So why wouldn't you have done a break at 2011
or 2000?
Well, at 2011, well, I haven't done that because the thing's still gaining through. I mean, it's not like it hasn't stopped, it's still going on. That's been the interesting part with that one, is that we only had that little hiccup, if you want to say, that just when the global financial crisis hit, but at the moment it's still sort of petering along and gaining a little bit, and I'm sure it's only because of the very, very low interest rates and Toowoomba's median price that's making the affordability there.
So did you determine the break point, or was this published?
No, that's, well, on the cycle in Toowoomba, yeah, because like the thing is we're able to look the API up figures and you can get the growth rates.
Peter? Earl, like most of us, I'm sure, I got my sort of annual love letter from the valuer general the other day, but I was somewhat shocked by the $48,000 rise in valuation of my property in Norris. I'm thinking about writing a letter, I don't know whether I'll feel, but I just thought that was an extraordinary jump in the land value. And I just wonder whether it's just councils and the government working together to make sure they get the bloody rates up.
Yeah, well, it's, as you say, I agree with you wholeheartedly there. So, you look at it because if you go to sell it, you'd say, well, okay, that should go.
Oh, that was the next question. Does it have any impact when I say no?
But you go and try and sell it.
So on that note, if you want to appeal your land tax notice, go to ASAP, because you have a very small window to appeal, and then when you see if you have to pay land tax or something like that later on, your window of appeal is another on. They say that you've got $2,000 or something land tax, and you should appeal something like months ago. So it's a bit sneaky, it's two different problems that do it. So you're going to appeal it soon.
You have to have grants.
Has anybody actually read the appeal?
You can appeal.
Yeah, you can appeal it. You can appeal anything you like, but one, what's it going to cost you, and two, what are your grounds for it?
But that's where it's always, well, when you, as you say, you get that notice from the council, and people do, not all, most of them are waiting to it, but people quite often will say as well, hey, it's not worth more now, just receive this notice when it goes up, and it doesn't work like that, it goes up 48,000, but if you go to sell a block of land, you won't get $48,000 more.
Yeah, I mean, 48,000 is excessive, and one of the grounds for people is excessive valuation. They have to justify it.
What's the value? What's the
handling this appeal process? I mean, the law school is an expert on land law, and he's putting together agreements, because it's not just in Toowoomba, it's all over the state. There's been this spike this year in the valuations. It's just a sample exercise.
It's just interesting. It's interesting to me that it's all over, it's not in pockets.
It's quite
Richard?
With that sort of the figures talking about, we have a property, my ex-wife Warren and myself, in Maryvale, and 2 years ago they upped the value of the property, it's just land, no development, from 75,000 to 125,000, and then last year they dropped it back to 75. But they hammered us rates on the 125,000, and then dropped it back again just to say they could. There's no logic behind it.
And they didn't reduce the rates.
No.
We're going through, or going to enter into at the moment, a very interesting part, which I think is a sad part, with real estate that is happening here now, whereby the council are allowing them to come down to extremely, extremely small blocks. Like I had a case where I went up and looked at one at Mount Lofty, and it's on a bit over a 700 square metre block. Now, the people straight across the road, they'd cut a block off, which was just under 350 square metres, but about 245,000. And now that's the thing that's going to, I think, ruin a lot of areas for residential living, because okay, if you go to build on those blocks, you can't build on more than 50%. The home's got to be, can't cover more than 50% of the area. So the largest home you can probably build on is no more than 170 Yeah. No, and so it's going to change things quite a lot. Like you may, I don't know if anybody had time to just glance at I only seen it on the first page this morning on the Chronicle, and the people are selling and leaving Toowoomba. Why? Because the four lots of units gone up the back behind them and all jammed in on these narrow things, and of course, only from here to there, off the back boundary. So they say, hey, I'm out of here, so they've sold their place and leaving Toowoomba. And there will be a lot of places, a lot of people who won't tolerate those small blocks being able to be cut off, the bigger blocks, and ending up naturally with these little... And it will bring
my daughters and the husband just bought a place over in Perth, and they do this, 2 houses, I think, and literally they open the back door and make the back fence.
Yeah.
That's
you imagine all of a sudden gone, the 700 or 800 square metre block, and you go from here down there to the rotary chair away from the neighbour where you can say, all of a sudden now you're going to have neighbours there from here to the edge of the table.
If I can just point out, when my last child moved out, we moved to the smallest possible house on the smallest possible block of land, so there's no spare bedrooms and nowhere for them to park their car. So they ain't coming back.
But it will bring about a lot more arguments with neighbours and everything. Because once you end up like that close to a neighbour, and if they end up with that yapping dog, it'll be a little bit different, like with my hearing, they'll be turn that music down and screaming at each other through the windows, and like that's what's going on. You can see it sticking out a mile. What's going to happen.
What's your thoughts as guys, like past Highfield, when you go through Highfield and out through Canberra, Hampton, not Canberra.
That area, Highfield, naturally, because right from day one, Highfield was the first acreage area. But that hadn't been on board. And so, like Highfields, with the acreage that it has just now, they're gone back from 1 acre blocks now back there to 800 and so on blocks, square metre blocks. But Highfields in that area out around it, that will just keep tremendous growth going because it's set up and everything. I mean, you only 8 to 10 minute drive, easy drive into the city. But you've got shopping facilities out there, town water and everything like that. So Highfields as a it's going to be Toowoomba's main suburb for sure. It'll just keep going with its growth rate. Mind you, they are just suffering with this downturn at the moment. Highfields has dropped back, and it's very slow selling there at the moment.
And if you go down south, that's one of them, like Top Cam, Preston, Norman's Hill, sort of stuff. So it's similar.
Yeah, Hudson Vale, all that area around through there, the small acreage stuff they do. But as you see, if you look at your Hudson Vale on the first page there, I mean, it's, okay, it's gone back in the last 12 months, but look at the median price of it, 550,000. So if you get out there, like where you're on that small acreage stuff, Hudson Vale and those areas will do quite okay. If you look over to the 10-year cycle, okay, it's 3.8%. But if you look at Middle Ridge, Hudson Vale's doing the same as Middle Ridge. Once you get up into the higher price, it does slow the overall capital gain back, but it's still doing quite okay. So if you've got a horse or whatever you want to put on there, and you want to have that couple of acres and that type of thing, yeah, Hudson, and again, you jump in the car from Hudson Vale and 5 minutes you're at Kmart. You've got so we're pretty lucky that way. If you look at our outlying areas for acreage, like now if you come over like even at Kangaroo, my Reading, 5 minutes in the car and you're in there at Woolworths, it's great. You've got those facilities.
Earl, you have 1 minute. Give us your forecast for the next 3 years in Toowoomba.
It'll be a slow period. It'll be a very slow period. Like as you can see, like we're hitting the bottom part of the cycle now. So the next 2 to 3 years will be a very slow period of capital gain, and the volumes of sales will be will go back, no, because the low interest rates will keep it going. And I don't know, Gary, probably, we can't guarantee it, but I think the low interest rates will be there for another couple of years, don't you? Yeah. And so when the low interest rates are there and our median price is like where it is, it's very affordable, and that will keep the flow and go through. It would be different if we had a $600,000 median price or something like this. The affordability is very hard. But with Toowoomba's median price as it is, plus the low interest rates, I believe that slow capital gain, as you're seeing there, of those 3 and 4% and that type of thing, I don't think it'll go back.
Well, thank you very much for this morning.